Well, 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 not the way we wanted the cookie to crumble, but it did crumble indeed. We are going to talk about all things about the 49ers, why they lost, the mistakes, the penalties, the turnovers, and everything in between. But you already know the vibes. We keep the energy up around here. I know it's a bad loss, and I know we're a little salty about it, but let's take a look at see what the outcome is for the rest of the year and specifically week 2 against Seattle. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Well, quite the change that we had from that first half that wasn't perfect, but there was some optimism about how the 49ers were playing against the Bears. You know, they went into halftime with the lead. They left definitely some plays out there on the field, but it did look like the 49ers were going to be able to keep the Bears at bay. The Bears weren't doing anything really in that first half. And then ultimately the 49ers get outscored basically 16 points. The Bears scored 19 in the second half. 49ers only scored 3. So ultimately, in the end, it was just not the performance that the 49ers were looking for, especially in the second half. The hope was that you get into the second half and you clean up the mistakes from the first half. It did not. It went the opposite direction. It was the complete polar opposite of what you wanted to see. The 49ers, again, I think is 11 penalties, I believe, on the day. 12, excuse me. 12 penalties accumulating for 99 yards, all of them coming at absolutely atrocious times. I believe in the 3 drives that the Bears had that led to 3 touchdowns, those were all continued by 49ers penalties. Um, you had the Dante Pettis play that a lot of the players spoke about, saying that that play was a huge momentum shift for the 49ers. And I think we could all sense that as well. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been covering this team very closely for the entirety of the Kyle Shanahan era. And if there's anything that I know about this team and teams led by Kyle Shanahan, it feels like they're very rhythmic and they're very momentum based. What I've noticed, if they lose momentum, they have a really hard time of like wrangling it back. I mean, we look at some of the tough losses uh, across the 49ers history. They've been leading in those games. They've been ahead. They've been up. Um, it's holding on and staying the course and not allowing big plays, big chunk plays to dictate the momentum. And they have a hard time of wrangling it back. That's what it felt like today. It felt like they kept you never keep teams around in the NFL. We know how this goes. You don't keep teams around in the NFL. The fumble by Debo, that left points out on the field. That could have been a touchdown, potentially at minimum 3 points. There's plenty of opportunities that the 49ers had to build up a lead so that the collapse in the second half didn't feel as negative. But let's talk about some of the things that the players talked about today after the press conference. I think Trent Williams had the best quote of the day, kind of summing up what this game was for the San Francisco 49ers. He says, quote, "It's hard when you play against an opposing team. It's even harder when you play against yourself." Trent Williams did not look happy. I don't think the 49ers at all were pleased with the performance that they put up today. I think fans, you can see it in the chat, you can see it across social media. Fans aren't happy, man. The 49ers faithful have been waiting for this game. It's been penciled in as a W. You guys already know I've been talking to you all week, all year, all offseason. This has been penciled in as a W on paper, right, since the schedule came out. So it's even more infuriating when the team comes away with a loss, especially in this fashion. Now, let's look at the reasons and why they lost. I'm going to start with Trey Lance because we talk about the quarterback, right? We talk about the quarterback quite a bit. We understand the quarterback is going to be under heavy scrutiny, uh, especially this year with the San Francisco 49ers, with the turn of Jimmy Garoppolo and all that good stuff. So we're going to talk about it. Do I believe Trey Lance was the reason why the 49ers lost? No, I don't. I do not believe Trey Lance was the reason that the 49ers lost. Could he have done better? Yes, he could have done better. He came and spoke to the media and he listed off every single mistake that he made in this game and that he wishes he could have back. But was that the reason why the 49ers lost today? Absolutely not. The 49ers did not lose because of Trey Lance. Now, he had the interception on the comeback, attempted comeback. You don't want to see that. He talked about that specifically. He thought he was going to be able to hold the safety with his eyes. It was a safety dropping down into a robber look and got the better of him. That's a play you wish he would have had back. He had the miss to Tyler Kroft down. That could have been a touchdown. That could have been a big play. He wished he could have had that one back. He said the way he discussed it was like he was trying to do a little bit too much with where he was placing the ball, which again comes back to reps. Once he gets those reps under his belts, he won't have to second guess or kind of process in real time where he needs to place the ball. It will just be natural. But overall, I liked the grit I saw from Trey Lance. I didn't see Trey Lance give up. And I think when we look at a week one loss, let's face it, it's week one. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We got to take it in stride. Not the ultimate outcome that we wanted to see. Wanted to get the W, all those good things. Not everyone performed, but it's not all on Trey Lance. But if we have to hyper focus on Trey Lance played decently. He extended a ton of plays with his legs. Again, could question a little bit of putting him in harm's way a little bit. He took some big hits, and we want to keep Trey Lance upright for the majority of the year. But I think overall, Trey Lance getting his first start in his or not his first start, but first start this year's third career start went about how I was anticipating. But I do believe that not only that, the defense, play calling, penalties, better decision making by Trey Lance, better blocking up front from the offensive line at times. All of that plays into this game. This doesn't come down on one person. I think when you look at this loss, you can look at it and say this was a team loss. They lost in a bunch of different ways. The defense looked good to start, and then the defense started to get real leaky down the stretch. And again, penalties aided that. And once they were committing penalties, they were giving Justin Fields opportunities. Again, the Bears offense was doing absolutely nothing. The only positive yards that they were getting in that first half was because of Justin Fields scrambling. That was it. Other than that, they weren't really doing anything. But then the penalties started to add on. They were giving them more opportunities. Then the run game started to pick up with Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert's a good back. Khalil Herbert was a draft crush of mine for a reason. He's a good back, and he proved that. So Khalil Herbert made us pay. Justin Fields made us pay. And that's the momentum that I was kind of talking about at the beginning. The 49ers, you let these teams hang around that shouldn't be around, they will hurt you. They will hurt you in the end. So I think there's a lot of things we can point to. There's a lot of things, bad penalties on the offensive line at bad times, missed throws. Tashawn Gibson dropped the interception. Um, you can look at so many different parts of this game. I could even look at Kyle on that fourth down, that 4th and 1, where they opted to punt for it. I really would have loved to see the 49ers go for it, especially with the way, even if it was a quarterback sneak right up the middle. Would have loved to see that. I felt like they could have been a lot more aggressive in that particular situation. Opting to punt, it just felt like, when we talk about the teetering of momentum, that play, that sequence felt like that was a good opportunity to snatch that momentum that was slipping away. I think that's where Kyle, you know, if we have to discuss Kyle's part in this, I think that's where he could show some more aggressive nature. Again, it feels like he picks and chooses sometimes at interesting times. But that particular point, it was like a fourth. It felt like almost like 4th and inches. Felt like that would have been a great time to just go for it. Just sack up and let's go. Let's get this done. But you live to play another down. You hope that you can rely on your top defense to get a stop. Didn't happen. Uh, Hindsight is always going to be perfect, right? So I'm not going to nitpick it too much. Um, but ultimately, it just wasn't a great. It was really not good and how they finished that game and how they wrapped that up. I look at the 12 penalties for 99 yards, a fumble lost, interception thrown. They deserve to lose. I mean, considering they had the ball for 33 and a half minutes, which was essentially 9 minutes longer than the Bears. That's the recipe for success. That's the recipe that we talked about. Those are the things that we wanted. We wanted them to own time of possession. But when you give the ball back and you lose 2 opportunities, 4 points, you have so many penalties on the day. You just give teams opportunities, and they scored on broken plays. So I get it. People want to pick and choose and pull their swords out on this quarterback conversation. The quarterback wasn't the reason why they lost. This was a team loss. It was defense, it was offense. Special teams did okay. Special teams did okay. We can't say they lost on all 3 phases. I think special teams did their job. For the most part, we had a Tabor Pepper penalty. That's rare. Um, but again, you got to win on all 3 phases. If you're not going to win on all 3, you got to win at least 2. And those 2 better be offense and defense, and they did not do that today. They did not. They did not take advantage of opportunity, and ultimately, we see the outcome as a result. And I think it's not time to panic yet, right? It's not time to panic yet. This is game 1 in a 17-game season. There's still a lot of time to go. We understand this is a monsoon. We're not making excuses. Both of these teams had to play in that weather. It is what it is. So we're not making excuses about the weather. We're not making excuses about anything. But what we will say is that this is one game in a 17-game season on the road. One of the things we talked about, early start time, never know how road dogs are going to show up. Didn't show up fully locked in, fully focused. And it translated into it kind of spiraling on the 49ers in the second half. Didn't really love the adjustments at halftime. So those are the things that the 49ers are going to have to look at and correct and get ready for week 2 against Seattle. Now, I think it's absolutely okay to be upset about this loss and be a little bit down and all that stuff. But if they can just get this right, I saw enough from Trey Lance. I saw enough from some of the at least early designs where it looked like it was going in the right direction. It felt like the offensive line early was playing well. I'm gonna hold. I'm gonna hold full offensive line judgment until I watch the tape. You guys already know. I'm gonna watch the tape first for the offensive line, and I will tell you exactly if the offensive line did good, did bad, did mediocre, all those things. I would say, based on what we saw, felt like the offensive line was pretty mediocre today, at least in the second half. But like I said, I will give you a firm opinion once I actually watch back the tape and break down the offensive line. It's really hard to break them down off a broadcast. So you got to be able to go back and watch it. But as of right now, not great, not good, not ideal, not fun. We were hoping to be talking about a victory over the Bears, and it doesn't appear that will be the case. Someone is saying we win this game with Jimmy. How does Jimmy somehow negate the 12 penalties for 99 yards? I'm just curious. I'm open for a conversation with the chat. Because I don't think any of those penalties were on Trey Lance. You listen to how these Debo Samuel, Nick Bosa, um, Kyle Shanahan, Trent Williams, what are they talking about? They're all talking about the same thing. They're talking about penalties. Penalties are the ultimate killer on top of turnovers. So you get a turnover, you get a penalty, you kill your momentum, and you lose it. 49ers lost it. They lost the momentum based on penalties, giving them extra opportunities. You got to allow them time. So right now, I can't look at this game and say this was on Trey Lance's shoulders. Again, he extended a lot of drives with his feet. 13 carries for 54 yards. He rushed for 4.2 a clip. Again, could have been better in the passing game. Um, and I think this is a great point. Um, these are the types of things that you got to look at when you're evaluating these types of losses. When it's not all on Trey, but I do love that Trey stood at the podium, listed every mistake that he made, didn't run from it, didn't hide from it, said this is my fault. I got to do better. These are the things that I need to do to help this team win. He doesn't shy away from taking accountability, and he doesn't shy away from fighting. Those are positives. Now, can he be a little bit get a little bit better ball placement on some certain throws? Can he get a better read here or there on certain throws? Of course, 100%. But that doesn't mean you have to pull him instantly and create a week one quarterback controversy. I know a lot of people are praying for the quarterback controversy. That's literally what some 49er fans live for. That's it. They literally wake up in the morning, they drink their coffee, and they think about how they can argue about the quarterback. So I understand it. If that's what you guys like to do, go for it. But we're going to be objective, we're going to be honest, and we're going to talk about all the things that went into this game. And Trey Lance didn't do anything to me to prove that he's not ready for this moment, that he's not ready to go into week 2 and see how he can improve, see how he can get better, see what you can learn from this game, wipe it, move on. Week 2, Seattle next. Now, if this is a trend that continues, then of course that opens up for more conversations. But right now, week 1, I didn't see anything that made, because you go back to week 7, Jimmy Garoppolo versus the Colts. You want to compare games? You you be my guest. You be my guest. It's perfectly it's a great comparison because it was a monsoon as well. Where Jimmy Garoppolo threw 2 interceptions that particular game. So you be my guest. Again, didn't see anything from Trey that would make me feel worried about where he's at. Could he play better? Of course. And you have to give that to the young man. Got to give him opportunities. There are a lot of positives early. Talanoa Hufanga absolutely was playing extremely well. Talanoa Hufanga looked phenomenal out there. He looked like one of the best players on defense. The linebackers who we would, I think, call right on time. I think the linebackers who we would call the strength of the defense kind of struggled today, especially with penalties. Ty says, getting real sick of Dre Greenlaw's mistakes, Brad. And dare I say it before everyone freak out, Dan Brunskill was missed badly today. I don't care. Hey, you don't gotta dare me. I'm the biggest Dan Brunskill fan probably in the world. So I've always felt that like situation has been interesting with how that was handled. But I'm a big fan of Dan, and he's proven he can get it done. So I don't know what we'll see. Again, I still have to watch the game back before I got to watch the all 22 and break down the offensive line before I can actually give a definitive evaluation of the O line. So I'm not going to make any proclamations or grand statements about the O line until I go watch. That will always tell me you got to do the tape study on the O line, even straight after watching a game on the broadcast. You got to watch the tape. It really puts things into perspective. But I do think Greenlaw had a rough day. I think Greenlaw absolutely had a rough day. Some bad penalties, really poorly timed penalties, missed tackles. Greenlaw had a rough day. Wasn't a great opportunity, for Dre Greenlaw today. I think, we look at that, Dre Greenlaw, Azeez Al-Shaair, and Fred Warner, and we're like, okay, we're solid there. I don't know. I don't think Dre Greenlaw was solid. I think if you would ask Dre Greenlaw as well, I think he would say he could have done better. I don't think Dre Greenlaw had a good game today. So we'll see how that continues to progress. We'll find out. He's kind of struggled with tackles here or there. He tends to miss sometimes in the open field. But yeah, it wasn't a good game. Wasn't a good game for Dre Greenlaw at all. On the bright side, Edgardo says, I can see everyone in division going 0-1. Hopefully next week is a clean slate. Let's go Niners. Again, it's week 1. I understand. We want to win this game. We really wanted to see a W against the team that we matched up well against and should have won. So it's definitely disheartening to see the 49ers drop to the Bears on the road. But hey, that's how it went. King Geo says, I don't care. The refs were against us. I mean, you could say like that. I think that Ayuk penalty was just god awful. I thought that was just a really trash call. But they were consistent with the quarterback hits, man. The second that freaking Justin Fields would slide, he's a quick he can hold it to the last second and he can get down. So you have to give credit on one hand to Justin Fields for how quickly he can go from running upright to getting vertical and getting down. I was actually impressed by that because he was doing it at a rate where literally like the Azeez one, I was like, what is Azeez supposed to do? Like, what is Azeez supposed to do? But they're going to protect the quarterbacks at all costs. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. Um, and the Dre one where he's coming, I think the Dre one was a little bit more egregious when he was going out of bounds. He was already going out of bounds. You don't need to jump on him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't need to tackle him out of bounds. Like, he was going out of bounds. So I felt like the Dre Greenlaw one was definitely much more egregious. I did not appreciate, the Aziz one was hard because that's a bang bang play. That's a bang bang play. So that one was tough, man. That one was that one was tough. But I would take, if I was in that locker room, which I'm not, but after watching that game, I would take the accountability as a team. You know, you could say the refs were against us. You could say the refs were making some bad calls, but ultimately, it's on the Niners, man. You got to take accountability. You got to put yourself in better positions to not make those mistakes. You know, I thought the Ayuk one was egregious as hell, but you know what they're going to call. They're going to call the extension. That's what they called. They called the extension on Ayuk. So just got to play tighter. Got to play cleaner. You can't give the refs an opportunity to call it. GI Jones says it's 9-11-22 and Kyle still can't win without Jimmy. Dang. I don't think this was on the quarterback. Again, I don't. But we'll see. Lewis says Justin seems way more elusive outside the pocket than Trey, able to extend those plays and make more accurate throws. Thoughts? I don't think this is too far fetched. You guys know I was heavy. I was a big Justin Fields guy. If we're up to me, I can't go back in time. It was anyone but Mac for me. But if you said, hey, you need to pick a quarterback, which you want the 49ers to draft, I wholeheartedly would have selected Justin Fields. But I also thought Trey Lance was a good selection as well. But one of the reasons why I did like Justin Fields was this exact reason. Justin Fields is deadly outside the pocket, man. Left or right, it does not matter. So the fact that we saw Justin Fields do what he did shouldn't be a surprise. It really shouldn't. He was doing this at Ohio State against top tier talent week in, week out. Justin Fields is deadly outside the pocket. He's deadly inside the pocket. He's a good player. I don't know why Fields gets so much flack, but Justin Fields is a really good player, man. I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks to come out of that class, especially if the Bears can get some kind of stable footing and coaching under him. You're going to see Justin Fields ascend. So I don't look at it like, oh, the 49ers got absolutely outdueled by some Blaine Gabbert type quarterback. Justin Fields is a good quarterback. And if you don't get him down, we saw what happens. If you don't actually get him to the ground, he's not a statue. He's not going to fall over and just throw up the white flag. He's going to escape. He is going to extend, and he is going to make you pay. Exactly what happened on the deep shot to Dante Pettis, former 49er. They got to him. He was able to spin out of a tackle. He keeps his eyes downfield, and he let it rip. So my player comp for Justin Fields was a larger Russell Wilson. You got to see some of that a little bit. You got to see Trey Lance or Justin Fields and how he continually keeps his eyes downfield. He has the ability to run, but he's always going to throw it downfield. I don't think Trey Lance played the same style of football at North Dakota State. Trey Lance played more from the pocket. He played in a more pro-style play-action offense where his spots were more predetermined versus kind of freestyling. Justin's definitely more of a freestyler. I think Trey will learn that. He's capable of it. But I also think Trey is more downhill runner when it comes to his legs. But we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it's still early. Still early, but hey, Justin looked good. Gotta tip your cap to the other squad. I saw my guy in here. I saw OGSDS. Where'd he go? What's good, DJ? Good to see you around here, DJ. But again, I get it. Not happy by the loss. I understand. Definitely wasn't the outcome that we would wanted. King Geo says, I never understood how it was Mac or Trey. That's a question I'll have for a long time, especially if Justin Fields becomes really good. I won't understand it. Again, it's not my job to understand. But also too, we're not here to look back. Can't change what has been done, and we move forward. And again, I don't think Trey Lance played bad enough for people to really speak poorly on him. EJ says, Brad, do you think Kyle is going to treat Trey like RG3? I don't think so. I think they used a lot of zone read type plays with RG3. I think they're going to still use zone read, but they really leaned on I don't, you know what? They kind of did. I mean, if Trey Lance had 13 carries, I guess he kind of did. A lot of those were Trey escaping out of the pocket, creating, getting first downs, things like that. Still had 13 carries. That means he took, not all of them were big hits, but took about 13 hits. So kind of did use him like RG3 a little bit. I'll say this: if they continue to use Trey like they did this week for 17 games, that's going to be tough. That is going to be tough on the kid. He got hit. I know you guys saw that play. I know you saw that play where Roquan Smith drove his kind of head and neck area into the turf. Those are the ones that kind of linger on you. Those ones that stick around. Shout out my guy DJ. Let's go. Back like he never left. Says smash that like button, SDS. Let's go. We're gonna keep the vibes up. It's all good. It's week 1. I think I personally, if I have to give you my take on it, I would be a lot more worried if this wasn't week 1. I would be a lot more worried if this wasn't week 1. I'd be a lot more worried if it wasn't a monsoon. I'd be a lot more worried, if they did lose Elijah Mitchell, so we'll see what the severity of that is. No George Kittle, so that always throws a damper on things. But it also is week 1, so I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. So this is my logic. This is how I work. This is how I think. You don't have to believe this. You don't have to think like I do. I don't expect you to. But I treat the first 4 weeks as preseason. I treat the first 4 weeks as preseason for the starters, and that felt like a preseason game. If you ask me, that felt like a prime preseason game against the Bears. Just with the sloppiness, the penalties, lack of execution, all the way around. Offense, defense, hell, special teams got a penalty. So yeah, it wasn't great. Why did Jordan Mason not get any carries? I don't know. Man. I'm really excited to get into this tape, though. It feels like this is going to be a post-mortem. I don't feel like the broadcast told the whole story. So that's what the beauty of tape study is. Eye in the sky never lies. So you can get emotionally wrapped into play-by-play through a broadcast or through real time. Once you get into the tape, It's really like a post-mortem. You just rip everything apart and you look at it with outside the emotion of the game and you start to understand where things actually went wrong. So I think there's going to be some interesting takeaways from the tape study. I think we're going to get into this and we'll be like, oh, makes sense. Makes a little bit more sense why it went down like this. So um, again, I can understand the disappointment, but I don't think it's time to hit the panic button yet. If we were hitting the panic button, I'll tell you what would kind of make me hit the panic button. If the 49ers went there and got completely manhandled, you know what I mean? Like the Bears just own them in every facet of the game. That's when I'm concerned. When the 49ers beat themselves, I'm less concerned. It's not a good look. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel any better. Doesn't look any better. It looks worse when they beat themselves. But the beautiful thing about football and all the adversity that it brings is that when you're beating yourself, you have an opportunity to correct it. That's the best part about beating yourself is that when you beat yourself, you can look at the tape, figure out what you did wrong and how to improve. Is literally the beautiful that's part of the beauties of being crappy sometimes is that you can see why and how, and then you decide, you know what? We don't want to be crappy in this type of situation. We don't want this to occur again. We understand, we were seeing this, so we're going to adjust the next time around. You can correct these things. You can correct penalties. You can do those things. Right now, it's not great, doesn't feel good, but you can correct a lot of the issues that they had. So that's where the optimism lies. The optimism lies from being able to fix it. Because the Bears didn't beat the 49ers. At least that's not how it felt to me. It did not feel like, Justin Fields, Darnell Mooney. Bro, David Montgomery couldn't do a damn thing against the Bears. David Montgomery couldn't do a damn thing. They had to rely on their sixth-round running back, Khalil Herbert, from last year to tote the rock. He did a good job. But I don't look at that game and I say, like, oh, the 49ers got dominated by the Bears. I look at that game and I see a fumble. I see an interception. I see 12 penalties? Like, yeah, it's a shitty loss. But the 49ers lost to themselves. They beat themselves. Oh shit, I forgot about that. I forgot about that, my guy. My bad. I completely forgot about that. I got you. My guy says, bro, Brad, bro, where's my hat? Let's go, Niners. STS. We beat ourselves. We'll get better. I got you, my boy. I totally forgot. Thank you for reminding me. It's been a long off season, DJ. It's been a long off season. I got you. I got you. So obviously I've seen how you guys are feeling all up and down the chat, but let's kind of condense them into like one kind of one-liners of why you guys think the 49ers lost today. So drop it in the chat. Why do you guys think that the 49ers lost today? Drop it in the chat. I want to see what you guys are thinking. And I want to see how you kind of condense it to one or two sentences. And just kind of we'll get it in like a chronological order here. And to just kind of get a sense of where we're all kind of viewing why this, because this is what happens after losses. People just want to know why. Why did we lose? Why? Uh, First one off the bat was penalties. Terry said Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan. Is this what we call Kyle when he has a bad game? Kyle Shanahan. We got bad coaching, Kyle's play calling, rain, Kyle. I disagree with this. Wait, the 49ers got a better bear. They're not, Bears aren't better. The Bears are definitely not better. Kittle. Oh, come on. Because they didn't draft Justin Fields. Way too early to tell. Penalties and play calling. Kyle. Nervous tension. A dozen penalties more than anything. I didn't see Trey choke. Play calling. Almost had 100 yards in penalties that game. Trey and Dre cost us penalties. Conservative play calling. Trey not ready. Penalties, blown coverage. I think Lance was not able to extend plays. I saw him extend a lot of plays. Defensive penalties. Offense, plain and simple. Penalties. Clean upable mistakes and horrible weather. Way too conservative play calling for Kyle and their choice of having Lance. Oh, come on. Week 1 shenanigans. George didn't play. So it feels like Kyle is taking a lot of heat. Feels like Kyle's taking a lot of heat for game flow. Yeah, feels like Kyle, penalties, execution. So this is how I'm gonna look at it, because I agree. I think Kyle could have done better. I think the whole team could have done better. I think they did. They said that themselves. They believe they could have done better. They left opportunities out there, and they gave up massive opportunities to the Bears. Rhythm wasn't there. Just didn't feel great. So this is the measuring stick. I think this is how we look at it. This makes week 2 against Seattle, I think, even a bigger game. Because again, right, part of the trap of looking at the schedule on paper, you see Seattle and it's like instant W, right? That's how a lot of fans view it. But we also understand any given Sunday, right? Anything can happen, especially if you beat yourself. If you don't come ready, if you make mistakes, if you turn over the football, if you don't execute, doesn't matter how bad the team is across from you. If you beat yourself, you that's it. You beat yourself. So what we're looking for week 2 is the self-inflicted mistakes, issues, execution, rhythm, play calling. That's what we have to see get better. I'm not concerned about the talent. I'm not concerned about the personnel. I'm not concerned with who we have. I still think when you look at this roster, this team can go far and win a lot of games. But they have to execute. They got to do it. They didn't do it against the Bears. Definitely didn't do it against the Bears. And they gave up those potential opportunities against the Bears. So going into week 2 against Seattle, they got to clean it up. They got to get better from the fundamentals, the boneheaded mistakes, those things. Once those things get cleaned up, Then we'll see the team that we know that the 49ers are. Right now, that wasn't a great jumping off point, right? So it looked really bad, especially losing to a team that a lot of people believe is one of the worst teams in the NFL. So, a lot of reasons why, but when you look past the reasons, it doesn't matter because you got to look to next week and you got to turn the page to Seattle. And if the 49ers duplicate this type of performance against Seattle, then that's when I think the concern will really start to seep in. I really think that if we see more mistakes, mental mistakes, execution issues, penalties, missed opportunities, and things like that, I think that's when the 49er faithful will start to get really impatient with how this will be going. So we'll continue to see, we'll continue to wait. And you have to be patient because this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. I don't know how many times I got to say it. So, outcome that we wanted? Absolutely not. Did they play well? No. Did they execute well? No. Did they have a ton of silly penalties? Yes. Did they give up huge plays at terrible times? Yes. Did the defense kind of fall apart there with the penalties? Yes. Was Trey Lance perfect on the day? No. Was he competent enough? I think he was. So we'll see. We'll see how that translates into week 2 against Seattle. Not the outcome we wanted. Not what we believe this team could be. But ultimately, we will see. I missed this one. Run game and defense did not help Lance out. The run game was working early, and then they kind of got away from it. So defense definitely gave up a lot of big plays there at the end, which is unfortunate. But thankfully, it's just week 1, and we will continue to see how everything plays out. Again, appreciate everyone for tapping in. You already know we're going to be doing film breakdowns throughout the week. We are going to kind of do a post-mortem on this game, try to get a better idea of, diving into the tape and understanding a little bit more why these issues occurred. Is the offensive line something that we need to worry about? Or are there bigger concerns that 49ers need to look at and try to address? So we'll figure it out. DJ says we did well in the first half, then got conservative. Yes, it did feel like they got conservative. And being conservative while the Bears took hold of the opportunities wasn't a great combination. So we'll figure it out, get into the tape, break it down, learn a little bit more. Chris says Greenlaw needs to put away that that black Air Force One energy. I mean, I like the black Air Force One energy. I just need it to be under control, if that makes sense. I want Greenlaw to be aggressive. I want Greenlaw to be that way, but it's got to be under control, right? Got to be under control. So thankfully, week 1, we'll see how everything progresses from here on out. Again, appreciate you guys for tapping in. No, it wasn't the best post game that we were looking for, but you already know, smash that like button if you haven't already. It would help out the channel, help out your boy as we continue to grow and build through this season. again, not the outcome we wanted, but we got better days ahead of us. We got better days ahead of us, I promise. This team is going to bounce back, get after it, and hopefully prove what they have coming into week 2 against Seattle. Not time to hit the panic button just yet, but we will maintain and watch and observe from here on out. Appreciate you guys. I'm out. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.